So excited for this one, guys. I don't even know what that was. Let's just start the video. So you want to know how to create awesome looking pictures like this one or that one? Well, my friend, you've come to the right place because I'm going to go over everything you need to know. Timestamps are in the description, by the way, so if you want to skip to certain parts, you can do that by just checking it out at the description and start the video. Okay, number one, the first thing I'm going to talk about is gear. What do you need to do this? So, I hope this doesn't come to a surprise for you, but you're gonna need steel wool. Make sure it's really thin one, so grade 000, or how do you say that? Is it 000, 000? I have no idea. But just get one that's really thin, so that's gonna help with the burning process. The next thing you're gonna need is a whisk, regular old whisk. I got this one from IKEA for like $3 or $4, so it's really inexpensive. If you can, make sure you get one with a hole at the end of the whisk, so you can attach item number 3 to it. But if you don't find a whisk with a hole, that's fine. I didn't find one too. We just drilled a hole into it, and this works just as well. Moving on to item number 3, we already said that, it's a rope. Just any rope is fine, just make sure it's not flammable. And the last item you're gonna need is actually a lighter. The first time we did this, actually we forgot the lighter, and one of my friends had flint and steel, like literally he used a stone to light this. Just find something that makes fire, it's just easier with a lighter. And that is with gear. Obviously you're going to need a camera and a tripod. It doesn't really matter which camera you have, but what does matter is that you have a tripod. You really need a tripod because you're going to do a long exposure photo, so you need to have your camera really still. That's it with gear. Moving on to the second part of the video, which is camera settings. Okay, this is gonna be really quickly. First camera setting, shutter speed, 10 to 15 seconds. That's what creates the effect of most steel wool photography images. But don't let yourself be limited by those numbers. Experiment with it. 5, 30 seconds. Let's try different things out and see what you come up with. And tag me if you post on Instagram, because I'd love to see that. Next setting is aperture. This really depends on where you're shooting, but if you're shooting what's close to complete darkness, then f9 to f13 should be fine. Also depends a little bit on which camera model you're using, but generally speaking 9 to 13 is good if you're shooting in darkness. But if you're shooting somewhere where it's a bit brighter, then make sure to higher that aperture so the photo doesn't end up like this. And then the last setting, ISO, there's not really much to say here because it's the same as always. Make sure it's the lowest it can get, but you should really be fine with 100 because that works on my beginner camera, so 100 should be good. And yeah, that's pretty much it what I can say to ISO. And that was the second part of the video, camera settings. So now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's actually get to the fun part. So for the next part of the video, we're going to go outside so I can show you how it's actually done. Okay, so now that we are outside, what has been a second for you was actually a week for me. I've been on vacation, hell yeah. It was great, thanks for asking. So before we actually get into the swimming part of it, let's go over some safety instructions really quickly. Number 1, hoodie. That was a fail. Bring something to cover up your hair, also a cap is alright. Just bring something to cover up your hair because you don't want this photo shoot to end up in a fail army video. When there are sparks flying around, there's a pretty high chance that one of them is going to fall onto your head, and then your head is going to go Ghost Rider. That's not what you want to happen, I hope at least. So just bring something to cover up your hair so it doesn't end up in a disaster. Number 2 is actually bring something to extinguish a potential fire. I hope you won't have to use this. I had to. We actually used a fire extinguisher because you see this little spark flying around, this big one spark. Yeah, that's steel wool, but not in the whisk, but flying out of the whisk, and then it landed on grass. Grass is actually flammable, so that wasn't really a good idea. But the photos could turn out really cool. So just bring something with you to extinguish a potential fire. Just water is fine. And actually the last safety instruction is bring someone with you. Bring a friend, parents, grandparents, aunt, uncle, cousin, then just bring someone, especially if you're doing this for the first time. And if you don't have someone to do this with, well, you're screwed. Just find a different hobby. Cooking is fun. You have two people, one spinning, one at the camera. It's just way easier to do with two people, at least two people. Bring three, bring your whole class with you. So yeah, that's it with these safety instructions. Now that we are over that, now get to the actual swinging part. Woohoo! I just hit myself with the rope. Nice. As I'm editing this video, I figured out that there isn't really much excitement left for the video. And I'm just gonna tell you right away what I wanted to tell you in the video, which is number one, I forgot one safety instruction. Hear me out. Please wear long sleeves, clothes with long sleeves. So, because if a spark hits your skin, this can hurt. And also, this should be a no-brainer, but please don't wear clothes that you absolutely love. Also, make sure to make a couple of test runs with the whisk before you actually put the steel wool into the whisk, just so you get the hang of it, how to actually spin the whisk and also how not to spin the whisk, because you're still playing with fire, so be careful here. And the last part, the last thing I want to say is, I forgot to film an outro for the video, so here are a couple of outtakes you can enjoy, and with that being said, stay extraordinary and see you soon, guys. Bye. It's a freaking duck. It's actually it's 3 ducks. Way easier with a lighter. And see how the swing ropes, the swing. What the?